Cinemajaw is sponsored by Overcast, an independent podcast app that embraces the open world of podcasting instead of locking it down. No exclusives, no premium content, no paywalls. Just a great podcast app for everyone. Get it for free in the App Store. And we thank them for their support. You're listening to Cinemajaw, the greatest movies podcast ever, recorded on location from our respective homes in Chicago. My name is Matt Kay, and with me is
Rye the Movie Guy, and sitting inside the fish tank is Filmy and Phil.
Hello!
This week on Cinemajaw, Matt, we start off mild, but by the end of it, we get wild as we cover just that. Our top 5 movie characters that transform from mild-mannered to wild.
This is a great topic. And you know what it just reminded me of when you were giving that description is in the old days when we used to really drink while we were recording this podcast, you know, before we knew anybody was listening and it was just kind of something we did in the back room of a bar.
And even after at some point.
Yeah, I was trying to sugarcoat it, Phil, but that's true. Ryan, and I'm sure I'm guilty of this too, but I can think of at least a few where you started out the podcast totally professional, Rye the Movie Guy, and by the end you're just like, Cinemajaw, you know, like barely speaking.
Yep. And I had to read the trivia questions, which made it just that much more difficult. You know, the guest was always like, can you repeat that? You were slurring.
Good times, man.
This was your idea, mild to wild. It's a little open-ended, but the one caveat that we did say was that we were not looking for like superheroes that transformed because they got bit by a spider or an ant or something. These are transformations other than that happen throughout the movie that we see the character sort of either lose their mind or transform. Make sense?
We wanted to dig a little deeper than just like Peter Parker, Clark Kent, and all the usual suspects.
And speaking of wild, we have a great guest who's going to be joining us in a little bit.
Yeah, Don Shanahan from the Chicago Indie Critics is back. He's got a new podcast to tell us about, and I can't wait to hear about it.
I know. It's been about a year since we had Don on, but I mentioned on the podcast, I saw Don at the screening of Raya and the Last Dragon. So he's one of the few critics I've actually seen in person in a year's time.
I know. Didn't it feel nice to see like a human being outside your bubble that you knew?
I couldn't believe it. It was weird at first, and then it felt like, yes, this is normal. This is normal. I need more of this.
Me too.
Besides that, we have more going on, don't we, Phil?
Oh, yeah, you know it. We are still going strong in Eddie Murphy weeks. We got another trivia bit, and we also have a clip that we'll throw in at the break.
And as mentioned, we have a review of Nobody, and that is the Mild to Wild tie-in.
Right. Nobody, starring Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah, I like me some Bob Odenkirk. How do you feel?
Yeah, me too. I mean, where did you first know Bob Odenkirk from?
Yeah, I mean, it was Mr. Show. And if I'm being completely honest, I like David Cross. I think he's a little better career-wise than Bob Odenkirk, but I like Bob.
Yeah, I like Bob. I love David Cross. I mean, for me, I was aware of Mr. Show. I was just not a viewer, so I didn't watch him quite as much there. I got to really know David Cross in Arrested Development, and Bob Odenkirk really stands out, obviously, in Breaking Bad, where he jumped huge onto the scene. But
when we're talking film, you got to go David Cross, right?
What?
He's the better of the two.
I mean, has he been in a film?
My God, I mean, Ryan! Yes, come on,
but
man.
He hasn't been in the roles that like a Bob Odenkirk has been in.
You're right. He's been in good roles.
No way. I think Bob Odenkirk's been in a lot better than David Cross.
Well, you know what?
CinemaWAR. You're going down, Matt K.
Well, we'll see. Don's going to have to decide that.
All right. So the other big movie that we're not talking about this week, but I know Don has seen it. Maybe we'll give Don 60 seconds to rant and rave on the film. Zack Snyder has a cut. His Justice League.
Don't say. I haven't heard of this. What's that?
We were going to review it this week. The thing is 4 hours long, so we need proper time to just find the time to watch the movie before we can get to the review. And I have not had time to sit down and actually watch it yet.
Truth be told, we did not get an advanced screener for this. We probably could have, but it came out today, and it just would not have fit into our schedules to watch it. But we'll have a review for the Jawheads.
Absolutely. In honor of the Snyder cut, Matt, you're taking Don on in Zack Snyder movie trivia.
All right. I think I might do okay.
That sound good? Some Zack Snyder movie trivia?
I believe Don's kicked my ass every time he's been on the show. So,
all right. Well, before we get to Don, let's kick this show off with an Eddie Murphy fact.
Yes. Eddie Murphy is a man of many, many, many talents. As we know, he's a talented comedian, a talented actor, and probably most notably, he's a talented pop star. I'm speaking, of course, of his 1985 hit song, Party All the Time, which did reach number 2 on the charts in the United States. And despite Party Number 2 kind of being viewed as a novelty track, it wasn't just a one-time thing. He didn't just record a one-off single with Rick James in the studio. He, in fact, released a debut music album, How Could It Be? That's the title, which became certified gold, selling 500,000 copies. We spent the past 3 weeks sharing the most meaningful things about Eddie Murphy, and us knuckleheads forgot to bring up How Could It Be?
Well,
How could it be, Phil?
Listen, I think anything with Eddie Murphy's name on it at the time would have sold enough copies to make it gold. And as much as I like Party All the Time, it is a novelty track, if we're being completely honest. But it is funny that, so many pop stars become comedians and then become actors. I think of like a Jamie Foxx. I guess he did comedian, actor, pop star, but it's rare to see it quite in the order that Eddie did it. Or is that the exact same order?
I have no clue.
I think it is.
I'm confused. But
Pop star might be switched.
Eddie Murphy did record 2 more albums. They didn't do nearly as well, and that more or less ended his pop star dreams.
Oh, well, he's still one of the greats, no doubt.
Yeah. All right. Without further ado, he has been on the show before, Don Shanahan, from Every Movie Has a Lesson, plus 25 years later podcast, I should say, website that he's writing for. Don, welcome back to Cinemajaw.
Ryan, Matt, Phil, thanks for having me once again. Great to see you guys. And again, it's nice to see people, period, even if it's on Zoom.
Agree,
how you've been holding up during the whole pandemic?
Good. I am a school teacher by day, so it's a matter of the combination. My school's been in person, so we've been doing the hybrid model to sound like a nerd who talks about stuff like that, where we are in school in person, but we have some kids that are at home watching us, even in a classroom on camera. So it's been this weird combination of some rooms I walk into, there's a bunch of kids there, and then there's an iPad on a tripod that I'm talking to and putting a microphone on so that they can hear me at home. And then there's the same usual shirt tucking kids that, no, 6 feet apart, put your mask over your nose. It's a whole bunch of that. And then at home, it's just, enjoying the comforts of home, watching a whole bunch of movies on a couch and on a laptop screen instead of on a big screen.
So as I mentioned at the top of the show, I saw you at the Raya and the Last Dragon screening, and you had mentioned afterwards, we talked briefly, and you said that was your first movie you saw in a theater since Onward 1 year ago.
It was like 5 days short of 1 year. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, have you been missing the movie theaters, the experience?
Yes and no. Some of that stuff is, I'm in the burbs a little bit more than in the city with you guys, so I don't miss the 2 nights a week of parking in hours and some of that hassle and juggling work and home and where's daddy tonight? Well, he's at a movie, some of that family grief and just the life work balance that comes with that. I don't miss some of that. And I don't mind the shortcut sometimes of watching a movie at home. I have like a projector that attaches to the laptop that goes on the wall. So I got a nice little fake movie theater set up here at home. But no, and I know this has been a nice year to spotlight smaller films and indies, which I don't mind. I feel like there's been a whole bunch of buried treasure that is the only thing going because the rest of the big stuff isn't going. Like, I don't know if I would have saw a Vast of Night or a Arkansas or some of these small little indies that come around in a year that really show off cool when that's the only thing going. So it's been fun to discover all that. And I admit writing and having time to do a little bit more at home has been easier than the chase of the city. But man, seeing Raya and the Last Dragon and reminding myself of a true big screen experience, all the bad mouthing I did of, this is so comfortable to be at home went away in a hurry. We're like, man, that's a real movie. That's a real comfortable seat. Nothing sounds like it. Nothing looks like it. You won't beat it. If we have fewer movies that get the big screen treatment because of what the pandemic will do or just the business of movies will do, okay, fine, but like I don't know if I need to see like Promising Young Woman on the big screen, but I'll take seeing stuff like Ray and the Last Dragon on the big screen.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think who knows where the chips are going to fall, how this is going to shake out, but it'll be interesting to watch. But I'm in your camp with this. I do like the convenience of the links.
I don't mind. Yeah.
Don, we've mentioned before that you write and you actually created the website Every Movie Has a Lesson, but you're also writing for 25 Years Later. That's the name of the website, correct?
It is. It's 25 Years Later site. It's a mouthful of a name. It started out as a Twin Peaks tribute site, and it's kind of evolved into kind of an all genre, all media website. They're doing great. They get like 300,000 page views a month. It's a fantastic shingle for me to write on. It'll be in June. It'll be 2 years that I've been writing and working for them. I'm kind of their only Rotten Tomatoes certified critic until a couple people have shown up recently, but I'm kind of their regular movie critic there, and I don't mind having my work show up in both places. It's been great to have a bigger stump and a bigger audience and challenge myself a little bit. Like, to be a self-published guy is one thing, but to bow down to an editor and the needs of a site is another. So it's been good for me and my own kind of chops, so to speak. And it's kind of gave me this opportunity where they've been blowing up like crazy. That since I've been there in 2 years, they've split into a couple more sister sites where they have horror obsessive, they have sports obsessive, and they've started to wanted to do more multimedia things. So one of the other film critics there, he's a Phoenix-based guy named Will Johnson, and we argue all the time. I'm kind of the straight man who's pretty I don't know, tame and not super uncouth. I can be uncouth if I have to, but most of the time I'm the straight man, and he's just the nut job of the guy who's just, everything's great, everything's amazing, everything's a masterpiece. So we get a lot of arguments on social media and kind of in our little social circle of 25 Whale, where he's like, people are like, man, you guys should just talk about this all the time. And he kind of got the idea and started to talk to the site head like, hey, you guys should start a podcast. And I'm like, man, I've been on some podcasts and I've seen the work that it takes to do it, and I don't know if I want to do that. But he's like, no, we got the site 25 Whale. They had their podcast kind of semi-outsourced to Ruminations Radio Network. So there's a whole metal shop of guys who just kind of take care of, like, you guys just get on Zencastr, record your audio, and we'll chop it up and post it in a week. You guys do we'll do all the production. You guys just do your stuff.
And I'm like, that's a dream.
I know.
That's what we have Phil for.
I know.
I was gonna say, man, what are you talking about?
So I'm like, well, I can do that. I can get online for a half an hour and put a scripted together little thing. So him and I are going to do a podcast. We're going to record tomorrow night for our first time. It's called Cinemajaw Hissy Fit. And we're just two dads. We're two school teachers, and we're two film critics who love and hate different movies. Where one of us will pick one movie a week. And one of us is the lover, one of us is the hater. We'll try to have a format where the lover goes first to talk for about 5 interrupted minutes where we can't argue. The hater comes on and does his 5 minutes. And then we'll have a 15, 20-minute open time of just beating on each other about who thinks one is right and one is wrong.
That sounds like fun, dude.
And just, we want to be quick, like get in and out in a half hour, stay to one film, and something digestible for the folks. Because, I like long form podcasting too. Like, having long, awesome conversations is good. But I don't know, for this site where they want to keep things a little snugger and tight. But yeah, Cinemaphile Hissy Fit is where we're going to go with
nice.
This.
And if there is a link by the time this publishes, it will be in the show notes.
I'll provide you with those when I kind of sort those out. We're kind of just getting our feet wet with open up our socials, getting some websites. We're kind of under the banner of Cinemaphile Hissy Fits, or the Ruminations Radio Network, where we don't have our little iTunes profile and all those little things yet.
Yeah, that's coming. There. That's coming.
Mm-hmm. Our first episode tomorrow night is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Nice.
Or do you, just out of curiosity, are you the lover or hater? I'm guessing.
I'm the mild hater. Like, it's like a 3 stars. It's a 3 out of 5 movie for me, where he thinks is the best damn thing Tarantino's ever done. And I'm like, hey, pump the brakes. So we'll be in between on that one there a little bit.
I like it. Don, for the jawheads that want to read your reviews, where should we send them online?
Find my stuff at everymoviehasalesson.com for any of those particular socials and things. My published work is on 25YL, so 25 years later site.com. They really need to think about shortening that. But if you do 25YL and Don Shanahan, you'll find me.
Nice. And again, we will have all your links in the show notes.
Don, we're celebrating Eddie Murphy this month. And for the Patreons, we did a retro review last week of Bowfinger. and
Ooh.
we split on it. Shockingly, and because I was pro.
Yeah, you were super high.
That's you, all right.
Yeah, and so I thought, well, throw the question at Don. I don't know the last time you saw Bowfinger, but where does it sit in the Eddie Murphy pantheon? Were you a fan of this one?
The last time I saw it was the first time I saw it in 1999. So I'm on Matt. It's crap. I can't say it's crap. It's just lower tier stuff. I don't feel like his comedy and Steve Martin's meshed together. I feel like that's Eddie Murphy doing an Adam Sandler dumb character lispy bit that he makes his money doing. Eddie Murphy doesn't need to make his money doing. And it's just cool concept, fun little thing, but mishandled and just way too much. Well, I'm with Matt on this one.
Yeah, Don. Yeah, I actually even mentioned Adam Sandler in my review.
I don't remember that.
I did. Go back. We got tape on it, Rye.
This podcast's going sour already.
See, we could do an episode of Cinemaphile Hissy Fit, Ryan, and take opposite sides of Bowfinger. You know?
Well, we basically did that for our Patreons.
Yeah, so. True.
Yeah. All right, Matt. Speaking of a film I think we all liked, but who knows, because I haven't heard Matt's review yet. We did check out Nobody.
Mm-hmm. Ryan, if you had told me that director Ilya Naisholer's follow-up to Hardcore Henry would star Bob Odenkirk as a brawling badass maniac, I would have said, sign me up. I was stoked to see this turn from both men. Throw in a small role for Christopher Lloyd, and I am double sold. But will this beat-em-up action flick live up to my high expectations, or is it just a sucker punch? I got on the bus to find out.
So they took maybe $20 and an old watch? Mr. Manson, did you even take a swing?
No.
Could have taken her, Dad.
Heard you had some excitement last night. I wish they'd have picked my place, you know?
Why didn't you take him out?
I was just trying to keep the damage to a minimum.
Yeah, how's that working out for you?
You okay? Because you don't look okay.
There's a long dormant piece of me that so very badly wants out.
What are you still doing here, old man?
I'm gonna fuck you up.
From the producers and writers of John Wick and the aforementioned director of Hardcore Henry comes the tale of Hutch Mansell, played by Bob Odenkirk, a self-professed nobody. The movie opens with a montage that shows us Hutch's repetitive life: make the coffee, kiss the kids, miss the garbage man, ride the bus, work all day, come home, kiss the kids, sleep in the same bed with his wife, a wall of pillows between them, rinse and repeat. One night, his routine is interrupted by a couple of burglars, but rather than fight back against the criminals, he submits and loses the respect of his friends, neighbors, and family. This sets Hutch on a path that reawakens a part of himself that has long been dormant. Hutch is secretly a total badass. After taking out his frustrations on a gang of low-level Russian mob thugs, Hutch sets in motion events that escalate to all-out warfare. That ropes in his 80-something-year-old dad, secretive brother, and a whole mess of Russians. What's got most people turning their heads about this movie is the casting of Bob Odenkirk. Sure, he's done some slightly violent fare with Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, but make no mistake, this is a broken bones and bullets to the head, balls to the wall, brutal action flick. It has plenty of humor, but the violence is never silly. It's bone-crushing, and I loved it. Odenkirk may be playing against type, but honestly, this could be the best thing he could have possibly done at this stage of his career. I am here to tell you that his action bit was an outstanding success. It is exactly that mental disconnect for us as viewers, seeing a guy we're used to playing meek comedic roles become an ultra-violent Avenger that makes nobody work. Does it go slightly over the top at times? Yes, perhaps. People who don't like violence don't even bother with this one. People who do like a little violence in their action movies Please bear in mind that while some scenes are straight up, there is some tongue in cheek. It's minor criticism, though. Also, RZA and Christopher Lloyd show up for bit roles toward the end of the film. And while Lloyd is a little bit unintelligible, it was awesome to see him again. And I hope he's back for the sequel. Plus, RZA got one of the best kills in the movie that I will just note here as the triple. This is a total middle-aged suburban dad power fantasy, and I loved every second of it. Ryan, did you think Odenkirk was believable in this action badass role?
I did, actually, and I loved your review. I believed that Odenkirk could play this part because he brings a quality to the role that's lacking in many of these on-screen tough guys and girls nowadays. He can take a beating, and we feel it. And so many times on screen, we see people get hit or get whacked or their head goes bashed into a toilet, and it barely affects them. Hutch feels it, and for the most part, I was completely down with Nobody. It took itself just serious enough, but knew when to step on the fun pedal. I want to ask you guys, I'll start with Don, was there enough substance there, or was the story and the world they were trying to populate here a little too vague?
I will say 50-50. I think they really fleshed out the suburbanite, like Matt said, rinse, lather, repeat stuff, that like where he's coming from and the place he's coming from, even like looking at his neighbor in the hot car and stuff like that, like all of that, and like his job, all of that is played really well and fleshed out really well. The 50% that's not is your typical Eurotrash villain. You know, like that comes from nowhere, goes nowhere, is a cliche we've seen 1,000 times. The shiny suits, the dumb violence, the internal this and that, or, you know, just you killed my relative and I'm not going to bother you. And I don't even like that relative. Well, too bad. I'm just still going to kill you. Like that part was not. But no, to root Hutch where he's coming from, yeah, they did that well enough in a movie where I like that it still stays vague. Like, you know, that opening line, who the F are you? And then to get that echoed at the very end, like we still really don't know all of what he is, but we know what he's gone through. We know what he's traded. We know what he's capable of. And that was enough. The other 50%, I would love to have a hero's as only good as his villain kind of thing. But in a movie like this, you just want a hero to be badass.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, actually. I would say I probably want it just a little bit more in that world. I don't want everything explained to me. And clearly they're going for the John Wick formula that would open up a whole nother world. You know, we're going to expand. So I see where it's going. And I like that. But I think I could have used just a little bit more instead of it being so vague of exactly who he was, what was going on. And the other criticism I have, and you actually sort of touched on it, Matt, let's be honest. It is always great to see Christopher Lloyd. They could have put somebody else better in there. It didn't work. I'm sorry to say it just didn't work. He's maybe a little too old. You even mentioned he's almost hard to hear his dialogue.
Oh, he is.
And when it finally came to the action, and he is involved in some action scenes, it's just like, this isn't working for me.
Yeah. And that shotgun would knock an old man in his ass.
Right. I'm as big as Christopher Lloyd as a fan as it comes, but I just think they could have did better casting there with somebody just a tad bit younger.
Maybe you're right. Yeah, it was difficult to understand Christopher Lloyd, and it's sad, but I was still pretty stoked to see him.
Sure, I'll throw this into the fishbowl. How old is Christopher Lloyd?
Okay, yeah, throw it in there.
I'm curious. Like, if he's like 83, yeah, get him out of there. If he's like 73,
no,
he's supposed to be able to hang, but he's got to be 80.
Definitely in his 80s for sure.
I would say so.
But yeah, I want to compliment them on the wonderful opening. You sort of mentioned it, Matt, how quick the edit was to get us that feeling that this guy's living this everyday existence. He's always missing the garbage on Thursdays, the Monday, the Tuesdays. They do it really quick, but very creatively, fast paced. And it makes you feel like, okay, I got this. Within 2 minutes, you got exactly this guy's life.
Right. Well, this director, Ilya, did Hardcore Henry, which was a heavily stylized movie, an incredibly stylized first-person perspective, and it had those quick cuts, you know? So I think he was the right man for this job.
There's a scene in here where he puts a record on and it starts a fire.
Yeah.
Coolest damn thing I've seen in a movie in a long time.
That was cool. And obviously song choice, if you're going to try to like burn down life, you just go to perfect.
Let's talk about the bus fight, gentlemen.
Yes.
This has been shown in the commercials a lot, so I'm sure people know what we're talking about here.
I went in raw with no trailers where like all I saw was the poster and the premise that there's this guy, he kind of gets roughed up and he's a schlub. So I had no idea any of this is coming. And the bus scene gets here and I'm like, just surprised Lee the whole way through, like, oh, he's going here we go. And it was fantastic. And to your point earlier, Ryan, he actually takes the first punch. In so many action movies, when it's finally revealed that the person is a secret badass like a Jason Bourne, they don't take the first punch, but the first guy that comes at him just like cold cocks him right in the jaw, almost knocks him out with one punch. But then what ensues is something straight out of like the Warriors. It's such like a brutal bare knuckle fight. A couple of knives come out, but it's just fisticuffs. Yeah.
Wow, that was a good fight scene. I watched it 3 times.
In a way, Hutch reminds me of Rocky Balboa. He can just take a beating, right? I guess if he has a superpower, it's that he just keeps getting up, right? He's almost like he's going to get beat up and he's hurting, but he just is not going to stay down for the 10 count.
And maybe that's a grain of salt of believability. Like, of course you have your bad guys that can't shoot straight. Of course, every shot this guy throws lands. Now training aside, I'm sure he's great. And, he still takes his own in and out bullet in the shoulder, but keeps on ticking like nothing happened. Like he does take his punches and he does get his welts and his bruises, but it's not, the most, consistent.
Sure. There's some cartooniness to it. I will say you're absolutely, that's a fair criticism.
Just a little, right? Just a little, but it's fun cartoons and the stuff we kind of dig and we want. And they're going for, like you said, they're going for the stylized thing. They're having some fun with the Asian characters where it's allowed, All
right. I have one more point on this film. All right. So just hear me out on this. This is a little fan theory-ish, but I was thinking about this because it's such a power fantasy fulfillment for the Hutch character. He gets I don't want to spoil anything, but a lot of power fantasies get fulfilled here, right? Do you think, or is it possible, maybe this is just me, that in the burglary, which this is again in the trailer, this is the setup, no spoiler, maybe he dies and everything that happens afterwards is just kind of like him living out a dream.
You're doing the Peyton Farquhar thing here, huh?
I'm throwing that one right in the trash. I'm throwing that.
This is from a guy, Rye the movie guy, who says that Alicia Vikander was going back to rescue the guy at the end of Ex Machina. That really
did happen.
Bullshit.
I'm positive of that. But no, the reason why, what indication in the robbery do you think that it looked like he was going to die?
Well, there are, I think, a few clues, like the at the end where he's being sort of interrogated, which is also the very opening scene. Again, nothing spoiled here. It could kind of be conceivably like a purgatory type thing, It's very Afterlife-esque. Hey, listen, this is just something I grabbed from it. I'm not saying this is the intention of the filmmaker, but it's an interesting thing to think about.
Okay, I'm with Ryan.
Throw it right in the trash. I agree.
Sorry.
Jeez, man. No respect.
That's reaching, man. That's reaching.
Something new we're trying to go for is jaw-dropping moment. This is like a cool moment in the film. Matt, you got one jaw-dropping moment?
Well, this is tough because it's spoiler territory.
Right. Dance around the spoilers the best you can. Obviously.
Well, I mentioned the triple, so I'll leave that for one of you guys. The jaw-dropping
wink, wink.
For me is, I will just say that he finds himself ejected from a small venue where there was some fisticuffs happening, and he gets back up, as we mentioned, this character does, and goes back in for more. And that was just such a beautiful moment. I was like, oh my God, this guy is actually sick in the head. I loved it. What about you, Rye?
For me, it was the triple, as you're calling it now. And this is it was
RZA.
It was fantastic. There's no doubt about it. It was like an applause moment, even though I'm watching it, in my little screening room by myself. I actually gave a little bit of a cheer. I was like, yeah, that was pretty damn cool, man.
That was the movie at its John Wickiest.
Yeah. Don, how about you?
I will say Claymore, Final Kill.
Ooh, yeah.
Nice.
without spoil.
Right. Hey, those are some jaw-dropping moments right there. I like it. Movie poster quote, Matt?
Yeah, I got one. Who'd have thunk Bob Odenkirk was a badass? Nobody.
Not bad.
Thanks.
I went with Better Call Nobody.
All right, let's give it some Jaws, right? What do you think?
Well, yeah. Don, you got a movie poster quote off the top of your head? I don't know if you got one.
I can't beat Matt's line of what was it? Dad movie dream thing. What was that?
You power fantasy, suburban dad power.
Yeah, I can't beat that.
There we go.
Leg breaker, heartbreaker.
There you go.
I'm going a solid 3 Jaws for Nobody. Matt,
I'm a little higher on it. I guess I had a little less problems with you than you guys. I'm going 3.5 Jaws, 3.5.
Don,
I don't do halves, so I'm rounding up to 4 Jaws.
Oh wow!
Wow!
But I'm on a 5 scale.
Oh,
so
he's on a 5.
Oh well, then
We're
3 out
on
of
a
4.
4.
Hold on.
Okay.
3. Yeah.
3.
Okay.
To clarify, 3 Jaws, Ride the Movie Guy. 3 Jaws from Don Shanahan. 3.5 Jaws from Matt K for Nobody. Nobody opens up this Friday. If you see it, when you do, let us know what you think. Write us feedback at cinemajaw.com, or you can shoot us a tweet at cinemajaw. Whew. Good one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is what got us thinking. Matt's wild list here. Movie characters who went from mild to wild in the course of a movie.
Right.
Matt, this was your idea.
Okay. It was.
So I was going to have you start first, but we should always let the guests start
of course.
first.
Don's our guest.
Plus Don said that at about 9 or so. So we'll see where he goes with this. Who do you got sitting at number 5, Don?
I want my number 5 to be my number 1, but I was going off of Matt's instructions where he's like, try to get some more lead characters instead of supporting characters. But to me, this is my personal favorite on the list of 5 that I have here. I'm just trying to think of more pedigree for 4 through 1. Number 5 is Laverne Hooks, played by Marion Ramsey on Police Academy.
Oh yeah,
that's a good call.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good call. She's got
where she's this meek little officer, and then it's don't move her bag, Yep. Oh yeah. Just her cop transformation from willowy, wannabe, small little whispery black woman to don't move her bag and all the things that she does. I love her little transformation. It's silly, it's dumb. You can see it coming a mile away, but in a movie like that, it's a stand up and cheer moment.
I couldn't agree more. I hate to bring it down, but I think I saw something on Instagram this morning that we may have lost her today.
Throw that in the fish.
Can we throw that in the fish tank and look that up?
Then,
we need to.
A good day to love on Marion Ramsey.
Yeah, we need to make sure.
Okay. Oh man.
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong about that, but I think I did see that.
How about I let you finish the list this week, Matt?
Oh, all right.
Your idea. How's that sound?
That sounds fine.
Okay. So at number 5, I dug a little deep here, and I wanted to go as many strange or odd movies that I have not had a chance to talk about on Cinemajaw in the past. And this one came out just last year in 2020, and we didn't review it or get a chance to talk about it. So here we are. It is the character's name is Grace Marshall in the movie called The Lodge. The Lodge was I
have not seen
it. Was a Neon release. So it's on Hulu, and it's the story of a father of 2 who is planning to remarry after getting divorced from their mother. And their mother was played by Alicia Silverstone, believe it or not. Well,
what? Oh, this is a recent movie.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
I mentioned it, Matt, just last year. So he ends up marrying this new girl, Grace, who was, as a young woman, was actually involved in a cult earlier in her life. And they plan to spend Christmas at the family's remote lodge. And eventually the father then has to leave for business, leaving Grace with her 2 stepchildren to be. And they don't warm up to her at all. And soon her medication is missing, and things start to go awry, and not sure if it's in Grace's head or if the children are against her. She sees all kinds of very Christian things on the walls that she thinks might have been put there by the kids because she was involved in this cult, and maybe that's a message. And we, the viewers, start to get into that mind frame of we don't know if this is real or in Grace's mind, and she starts to lose it and some bad things happen. It's a horror thriller, psychological thriller.
And she becomes a badass?
Yeah.
Well, she just gets wild. I don't
gets
want to
wild.
ruin it for
Right.
you.
Okay.
That's all it is. I don't want to say badass, but she gets wild.
That is an astute film snobby choice. I love
Yeah.
it. That's
The Lodge.
That's a good 5.
Yeah, there
got
it
a-
is.
I got a bit of a film snobby pick here.
Here we go.
At number 5.
Yeah. And here I go with Police Academy.
No, I love Police Academy.
Yeah, right.
1986, directed by Jonathan Demme. The character who gets mild to wild is played by Jeff Daniels in Something Wild.
Okay.
Co-star Melanie Griffith. Do you know this movie, Ryan?
I do not. I have not seen
A
this.
little bit.
All right. So he's like a suit and tie, really like stuck up business person. And she comes rolling into his life literally in this like Trans Am, and she's like kind of like a punky goth kind of girl. It's Melanie Griffith. She pulls him into the car and they basically go off and have this wild adventure. Ray Liotta shows up at her high school reunion because she convinces him to take her there. And he is her ex-husband. And now Jeff Daniels has to fight Ray Liotta, who's a total psychopath. And it's all three of those actors very young. Jonathan Demme earlier in his career, so it's actually worth checking out. And of course, Jeff Daniels sort of steps up out of this meek and meager sort of pencil pushing character and becomes the hero, the romantic hero that she needs to swoop in and save her. It's classic.
Okay. Nice pick.
Yeah, I like this, Matt.
You guys have never seen this
one? No.
Wow.
No. I'll check it out.
It was a VHS favorite of mine, guys.
That's because Melanie Griffith looks good.
She does. This is a really good time in her life too. She looked great in this movie.
Into our 4s we go. Don, what do you got sitting there?
At number 4, I went with a villain we know he's the villain. We know he's likely going to turn into the villain, but just in the way that the actor goes with it. I'm going with the character Paul Cerrone, played by John Voight in Anaconda.
Oh, yeah.
I love when Anaconda comes up on the cinema.
I know, right? So for me, it's like, John Voight is twisted. He's, overplaying this character like crazy from the moment he shows up on screen. But he keeps doing it in a small little, build and grow and get creepier and creepier and creepier kind of way. By the end, he's, full tilt trying to capture this anaconda. Gets consumed by the anaconda, has that last wink moment that we all love where he's half digested by this anaconda on regurgitation. And it's like just John Voight chewing every piece of scenery he can to just build up that creepy villain to the point where you just root for him to die and fail. And he's my mild to wild number 4.
I like it. Good pick.
I do too.
We
you
got there,
can't
Ryan.
go wrong with Anaconda.
I know. I love Anaconda.
My number 4, this one came out just 2 years ago. And the character was played by Robert Pattinson. And he's always great if he's going to go from mild to wild. But I'm picking him as Winslow in The Lighthouse. And I guess spending that much time in a confined space with Willem Dafoe will drive anyone crazy, especially when he's farting like he does in the movie. So
there you go.
If you haven't seen The Lighthouse, Pattinson's character plays a wickie. For a month he's supposed to go onto this remote lighthouse, and as soon as he gets there, he's told to do all these chores by Willem Dafoe, and these things are like emptying like the potty pots and painting the lighthouse, but he's never allowed to go into the lantern room, the big light room, and weird things start to happen. And again, very much like my first pick, The Lodge, where it's a mental thing. He starts to crack, and what a joy it was. This movie, I saw it at the Toronto International Film Fest, and I remember I sat in those first rows of seats, which I always hate to sit in. Those like first 5 where you got to bend your head straight up, your neck is hurting after you come out. But this movie, it actually enhanced the viewing because you were just so close to the screen, and it's that 4:3 ratio. It's black and white. The movie's loud and the sound design is fantastic. And I think being so close to the screen actually just put me into another level of entertainment for this particular film. I loved it.
Nice. Matt, are you a Lighthouse fan or not a Lighthouse fan?
I am a Lighthouse. Haven't watched it yet.
You're not missing anything.
Really? I want to see it though.
Bored to tears. Like it wasn't effed up enough for me.
Huh.
Surprisingly enough.
I've heard lots of good things, and I have seen that one scene.
It's beautiful, gorgeous, amazing, black and white, all of that. Yeah, but bored to tears.
I mean, it's probably worth it just to see our next Batman call out Willem Dafoe for his farts when in a New England accent.
True.
And your goddamn farts.
I will.
Goddamn farts.
Yeah, I will say it's not for everybody. I've heard other people say they don't like it as well. For me, it works. I've watched it a second time late night after a movie ended, and I had some drinks in me, and I thought again, wow, this thing's fantastic. But
all right, now I really am intrigued.
Yeah.
All right, I guess that swings.
What's your 4?
Yeah, my number 4. So a little bit of a trigger warning here. This is a 1978 horror classic. It is a rape revenge movie, probably one of the most notorious. Another VHS classic of mine. I Spit on Your Grave. You guys familiar?
I'm very familiar, but I have not seen it, to be honest.
No, me neither.
Okay, so you're familiar with it, Ryan, but you haven't seen. Okay,
yes,
so
same thing. Heard of it, but never seen it.
There's been a lot of entries in this genre, if we can call it a genre. This might have been the first, certainly the most well known. And a woman is attacked brutally. It's not easy to watch, and then she goes and takes revenge on her attackers in very satisfyingly brutal and sadistic ways, and they all get their comeuppance by the end. Interesting fun fact. I'm sure if you haven't seen the movie, you've probably at least seen the poster, what used to be the VHS cover art of a woman who is wearing sort of like a loincloth and her butt is pretty exposed. It's very scintillating image, right? That famous booty from the VHS cover actually does not belong to the actress in the film. It belongs to one Demi Moore. So
wow,
you could say Demi Moore's first appearance was in I Spit on Your Grave, or at least on the cover.
Matt does know his butt facts, you know.
Hey.
Says the guy talking about a fart movie. Yeah. Come on.
All right, Don, what do you got sitting at 3?
Sitting at 3, I have something really super duper recent because she blew me away and I love the performance. I have Cassie Thomas, played by Carey Mulligan, in Promising Young Woman.
Good pick,
you know, because I that was my number 1 movie of last year. I thought I'm begging her to win the Oscar in a month. I know she won't, but that's okay. I just really I'm impressed with, I know her meek to wild as an act, but at the same time, we see the background of her character where she didn't want to be this person. She didn't want to be this wild person. She didn't want to be this person, you know, this wraith coming in to, you know, give comeuppance, to use Matt's word here, on people who really deserve what they do to prey on women. And I appreciated that in different hands, this movie could just be all female revenge, all action all the time. Probably something almost akin to something like Nobody, where you just have a badass girl tearing up guys who deserve it. But when you see her away from her exploits, you see her break down and realize just how hard this has been for her to get to that point, and how she didn't have to be that point. And even the relationship with her mom and dad at home, and which is Jennifer Coolidge and like Clancy Brown, and like the pink bedrooms and all that. You can tell she came from a place where she was as happy as go lucky as any college kid in the world, but has turned into this. And what this is just so wild and harsh that I adore her performance. Love the movie. It just impressed me to no end. And I loved her for being a place on this list.
Yeah. Such a strong movie to talk about too. After it comes out, it's a great conversation piece. Big fan as well. We have not done any Oscar talk yet on Cinemajaw. I'm going to come out and say it, Don. I think you're wrong. I think she is going to win the Academy Award. That is my prediction.
Wait, what category are we talking here?
Lead actress.
No, that's not going to happen, Ryan. You're smoking crack, buddy.
I don't see them giving it to Frances McDormand for a third time.
I don't see them giving it to Frances McDormand a third time, but I also don't see them try to do a new person like Andra Day in Billie Holiday, the United States versus Billie Holiday either. I hope like it's her chance and her time.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I think Frances
I've seen younger and better people get passed all the time. So
she's going to Meryl Streep it, you guys. Just watch. She's got this one in the bag.
All right. Swings it over to my number 3. And we had just celebrated Jodie Foster, and we've been celebrating these actors and actresses every month. But for some reason, I really went on a huge Jodie Foster tear. I caught up with The Accused, which I had never seen before.
Oh, that's a good one.
I saw The Little Girl at the End of the Lane, which I had never seen before. I had rewatched Silence of the Lambs, and I rewatched my number 3 pick here.
Little Man Tate.
Nope.
No.
2007, she actually plays a vigilante in the movie The Brave One.
Ooh, good pick.
Jodie Foster plays Erica Bain, who's an NPR-like radio host who is with her fiance in Central Park in the beginning of the film, and a bunch of thugs end up confronting them and ended up basically beating the two crazy, so much so that Jodie Foster's character is in a hospital, but her fiance is actually beaten to death. He dies. And when she finally recovers, comes out of the hospital, she purchases a gun for protection, but then finds herself in a convenience store that's being robbed and actually takes action against the robbers. And this makes her feel good in a way. And next thing you know, that leads to her becoming the next Charles Bronson.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Wow, I haven't seen that.
Great. It's a good one.
You know who else is in this movie is Terrence Howard. He plays the detective who is basically looking at all these murder victims that he's like, there's some vigilante on the loose. They never think that it would be a woman, and this soft-spoken radio host that's like describing the city by day. She's on, NPR type style. Really had fun with it a second time. I remember seeing it back when it came out and then never seen it again. And then because we were doing Jodie Foster month, it spurred me to watch it. And then here it is on my pick. So hopefully other jawheads check this one out.
Wow. Yeah, that's director Neil Jordan. That's your Interview with the Vampire, Crying Game, End of the Affair guy. He's a fantastic director.
No doubt about it.
Matt?
Yeah, nice pick.
That over to me?
Yep.
All right, gents. At number 3, I am going with a Brian De Palma pick. And for some reason, all of mine are kind of older. This is a 70s movie, but late 70s. Don't remember the exact year. Throw it in the fish tank. Sissy Spacek goes from mild to wild in the Stephen King adaptation Carrie.
Sure.
In a
big pick.
In a very explosive way. At its core, I won't belabor this. We've all seen Carrie. We've talked about Carrie before, but it's a coming of age story at its core. But she's bullied. She's pushed too far. And at the end, she uses her telekinetic powers. She just goes wild. And everybody in that gymnasium has a very bad night because of it. That's enough. We can leave it there. We know Carrie.
What a bloody ending.
Solid, yeah.
Oh,
Ooh, that's right.
PJ Souls and John Travolta. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Don, what do you got sitting at 2?
At number 2, like I said, the rise of pedigree gets higher. So I have the narrator, played by Edward Norton in Fight Club.
Yeah.
Just the way he goes from starting to fall for the disillusionment of society. He's kind of, teetering on that cliff where he's at to think all this is crappy, all this is bad. And, the attitude is there, but the place to be pushed to do more clearly comes out as that movie progresses and where that character isn't or goes. And Fight Club is a movie we've all seen, and that's another one we can belabor, but I got to go with Edward Norton in Fight Club.
I love it. Yep.
Yeah, no argument here. I mean, one of my favorites.
As
my number 2.
Yeah.
I was just damn determined to put Tom Hanks on my list.
Ooh,
and
okay.
How do you guys feel about this pick? I originally wrote this one down, but I don't know how much he transforms into wild. So I have a backup Tom Hanks. You can always have a backup Tom Hanks. But originally I put down Captain Phillips.
Okay.
Yeah.
But does he transform enough? That's what I'm saying.
No.
If anything, he's too steady, right?
And to put it at 2, I can't go that high.
So then I thought, well, I got to go with a backup.
Okay.
And so I thought, here's another great one where he just starts to lose his mind by the end of the movie. And I went with Ray Peterson in The Burbs.
Ooh, good pick.
That one I can get behind.
I can get behind that.
Here he is, a normal suburbanite living in his house. He's got Carrie Fisher as his wife in the movie. And his neighbor is...
It's Joel Murphy.
Dern.
Yeah.
And Bruce Dern. Yeah.
Bruce Dern.
Right.
Bruce Dern. And the kid. The
Corey
pizza dude.
Feldman, dude.
Yes, Corey Feldman.
Oh, that's right.
Pizza dude's got 30 seconds. Yeah.
What a block to live on. You know what I mean? And so eventually he's, if anything, the straight guy believing that the Klopeks are up to, they're not up to no good. And by the end of it, he's talking about, it's us, Art. It's us. We're the ones that mow our lawn for the 1 millionth time. And he's absolutely crazy. And he actually puts himself on the hospital stretcher bed and he throws it into the ambulance. And he's like, I've been blown up. Take me to the hospital. Completely loses his mind.
I got to rewatch The Burbs.
Yeah.
Man.
It's been I was easily too young to see it. And I would love to see it with adult eyes now.
Yeah, me too.
It's one of my favorite early Tom Hanks movies for sure.
All right. That swings it to my number 2. And I am going with a film written by Shane Black, of all people. And this is something I just learned tonight. But this is a movie I saw right when it came out, 96, height of Gina Davis's career, perhaps. Sam Jackson is also in it. And when we said we were doing Mild to Wild, this is the first one that popped into my head. The Long Kiss Goodnight.
Okay.
I have never seen it.
Wait, okay.
Ooh,
it's
same thing. Been a long time.
I haven't seen it since the 90s either, I will confess, but I remember I've seen it like at least 2 or 3 times and I loved it. Gina Davis is same thing. She's like a sleeper agent. She's got amnesia. She's like a Jason Bourne. She's playing this normal suburban house mom. She's like making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for the kids to take onto the bus and just like a soccer mom, the last person you'd expect to be a stone cold killer. But when her past catches up with her, and this side of her comes out, the bullets start flying. Sam Jackson shows up and it's an all out action fest. It's pretty good.
Phil,
underrated movie.
Yeah. Phil, can you throw it in the fish tank? What it is on Rotten Tomatoes? In my mind,
it's low. I know.
In my mind, I've wanted to watch it and I've skipped it because it's like one of those you highlight on one of the streaming services and it's like, oh my God, it's that rotten. And I just skip right past it. But maybe I'm wrong.
I think you're wrong.
That's Rennie Harlan, your Cliffhanger director and Die Hard 2 director. Yeah.
Yep.
Something like that.
And Shane
Maybe
Black
I'll give that
writing.
One a shot.
Yeah.
Well, I like Shane Black.
I bet it's in the 40s.
What's that?
Yeah.
We'll see.
I bet it's in the 40s on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe it's been aged well. I don't know.
I think it's higher. We'll see.
This is Cinemajaw, and this is our number 1 Mild to Wild. Don, who do you got sitting at the top spot?
I have classic. I have Norman Bates, Anthony Perkins, and Psycho.
Yeah.
I have to. It's at that point in the movie, I have to put, we've all, a lot of times, especially for me, that movie was spoiled before I ever watched it. I knew the guy in the hotel would be the killer and all that stuff like that. But when I close my eyes and I try to picture people watching the movie for the first time and like, oh, look at this good looking dude, nice young guy, taking care of this hotel at night, you would never think he's the guy, slaying and, murdering people and throwing cars in ponds and things like that. And for its era, for its impact, for what he represents and what he is, that's the Ichi. That's amazing. Norman Bates.
I got no real arguments except maybe this. Was Norman not wild the whole time? He doesn't really go from mild to wild. We just didn't know he was wild.
Yeah, which is, fair enough. It's enough for me because when you realize all the things he did before you realize, oh wait, it was him, makes it enough of a kicker for me. But I see what you mean, where it's not as blatant on screen and behind the scenes as it could be.
Right.
I'm not also trying to make the Maleficent version of this movie where like, let's just look at Norman the whole time and none of this Marion Crane stuff. So, but yeah, I know what you mean.
What you got there, Rye?
My number 1 pick, an actor that seems to get wild in basically every movie that he stars in, especially lately.
Nick Cage?
Of course, I'm talking about Nick Cage.
Oh, yeah.
So
here
then it's like, where do we go with the Nick Cage? And I thought, let's have fun with this one and go back to 1988. This had been recommended. This had been recommended by Jawheads that we see. I had not seen it. And then last summer, I finally caught up with it. Nick Cage in what I'm calling a Nick Cage masterpiece, Vampire Kiss.
Oh my, digging deep.
Yes.
I have not seen Vampire Kiss.
I still haven't seen it either.
I mean,
Okay.
the premise here is fantastic. I mean, he's basically, a New York business guy, white collar. All he's trying to do is make money and sleep with women. And he brings home Jennifer Beals, and she ends up biting him on the neck. And he believes that he's turning into a vampire, but there's been no transformation. Nobody can see that there's anything that has changed with him. So it could just be in his mind. And he starts to believe that he's turning into this vampire, and the hilarity ensues. I mean, he goes absolutely wild in this movie, and there's some just great scenes. You've seen the YouTube Nick Cage loses it moments. There's at least 3 in that highlight reel from Vampire Kiss, because he's just so over the top, and I can't recommend it enough, especially now looking back at 1988 Nick Cage and how hilarious this role was. I'd say this was the turning point where he found out that the knob went to 11, and he left it on 11 the rest of his career.
Nice.
He may have. Do you guys remember that cheesy vampire teen sex movie starring, Jim Carrey? Once Bitten.
Once Bitten. Yeah. With the lady with the fishbowl? Lauren Hutton. Okay. Lauren Hutton. Yeah. Gina Davis in there too, right?
Is she? No.
I'm thinking Earth Girls Are Easy. Never mind. My bad.
All right. I hope that it was worth it leaving number 1 for me, Ryan. I think you're going to hate this pick, but I think the Jawheads will love it. I am going with a character from the Harry Potter films, Neville Longbottom, who spent the entire series as a complete dweeb. Even his friends thought of him as weak and kind of worthless, but they placated Neville. They helped Neville out of pity almost. And here he comes at the end with this sword, and I think it's Godric Gryffindor's sword. And he cleaves the head right off of Nagini, the snake of Lord Voldemort, thus destroying the last Horcrux and defeating Lord Voldemort. The whole time we're like, well, Harry Potter's going to win. How? Right. Turns out Neville Longbottom, that's how. Total badass.
I wasn't all the name drops he had there, man.
No, he's read the book once or twice, huh? I had Neville at 6 because I'm like, oh, he's not a lead character, and Matt said to keep it to lead characters. He's on my short list.
I said we're going for the protagonists, and true, you did catch me out on that one.
Okay. I don't feel so bad about Laverne Hooks now because he threw in Neville Longbottom.
There you go.
All right, other nominees.
I got some honorables. Go ahead, Don. What do you got?
Well, I had Neville. Then I also had, easy one, too easy. Travis Bickle, taxi driver. I had the character of Curtis, played by Michael Shannon on Take Shelter.
Yeah, I saw that come up. His
cracking, And then Alex Forrest, Glenn Close's character in Fatal Attraction. But those are all too easy. So
my only honorable mention was Truman from The Truman Show.
Okay.
He does go a little wild.
Because he starts to find out, obviously, that he's in the bubble, and he starts getting wild.
All right.
Yeah, not all wild is crazy killing people stuff.
I still have a couple left over here, guys. Sarah Connor from the original Terminator. Obviously in T2, she's a badass the entire time. But in the original Terminator, she's just like a clerk at a store in the mall, and she finds out this robot's chasing her, and she becomes a total badass who has to defeat the Terminator at the end.
Good pick.
Johnny Depp in Dead Man. He's an accountant, but he becomes a gunslinger. And then, Luke Skywalker, guys.
True.
That's it.
It counts. Yeah.
Does he get wild?
That's why he's off the list.
Well, it depends on your definition of wild. I mean, it's pretty wild blowing up the Death Star, and he was just a moisture farmer on Tatooine at the beginning, and a whiny one at that.
Name dropper again. Look at that guy.
I know. Listen to him.
Hey, man.
All right, Jawheads. If we missed your favorite mild to wild characters and you have Twitter pulled up, shoot us a tweet at Cinemajaw, or you can email us feedback@cinemajaw.com. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we have a CinemaWAR looking at Bob Odenkirk and David Cross. Oh, it's going to be a tough one. Plus, Zack Snyder movie trivia. Stick with us.
While some people might point to The Nutty Professor as the beginning of the downfall era of Eddie Murphy, and perhaps that's fair, it is nonetheless undeniably impressive during the dinner scene when he sits down with the entire Clump family and has a conversation about being overweight. Every character at the table, just about, is being played by Eddie Murphy, and he's having a conversation with himself, essentially. When you stop and think about the production implications of this, it's really staggering, and the talent involved is simply top of the heap.
You know what your problem is? It don't work out. Got exercise. Look at me. That's all muscle.
Oh.
You fat, I'm muscle.
Oh, look at my little Bill. He's a little Hercules. Show me muscle again. Oh, Hercules.
Once you work out, your metabolism starts to speed up. You can eat anything you want. Go on. Knock yourself out.
So strong.
Well, Ernie, recent studies have shown that certain people are genetically predisposed to gaining weight. Someday in the near future, we might even find a cure. Only thing you need to study is your ass. I got a big ass. Your mama got a big ass. Cletus! You do have a big ass. Don't tell me nothing. Your ass is big in our family. So you need to get used to that. And I don't care what diet you go on, you can sew up your stomach and your asshole, you're gonna always be fat.
Daddy, all I'm trying to say is that scientific breakthroughs are occurring all the time. And
The only thing about to break through is your ass about to break through the seat of your pants.
You know, Sherman, I think I do remember hearing something on TV about colon cleansing. They say everyone should have one. I'm thinking about getting me an appointment and go down and get my colon cleansed thoroughly.
You want your colon cleansed? Fine, I'm gonna clean mine. Yeah, now my colon is clean. I'm talking squeaky clean.
Can't have a meal. You gonna start breaking gas. Don't break gas and destroy our meal.
Don't tell me to stop. You the one that brought up colon cleansing and all that mess.
I did not say anything about breaking gas. I said that I was gonna get my colon cleansed.
You can talk about putting a tube in somebody's ass, but I can't break wind.
I didn't say nothing about putting no holes up nobody's ass. Please, I
Well, what
said.
you think a colonic is? You think you run the asshole by the car wash?
You choking the baby.
As long as I'm back business, I'll do what I want to do at this table. Case in point.
Who that called my name?
Yeah, I called you if your name is.
Keep it short of me. I taught this between the crack of your ass.
Yeah, you know I can go all night.
Keep it short. Fuck, I hope you fought till your asshole falls out. Oh, baby, too.
Oh, now, see what you made me do? God damn it, I messed up my pants. Damn, Daddy.
You got to clean them yourself, you rotten.
Jawheads, I want you to do me a favor. Pull your phone out of your pocket and go to your YouTube app. Search for the Cinemajaw channel and hit subscribe. Really, please do it right now. This will do two things. One, it helps us reach more people. We want to spread the good word about film, and you clicking subscribe really helps us do that. And two, it costs you nothing. That's right. Subscribing to Cinemajaw on YouTube is fun and it's free. Think of it as a donation that doesn't even cost you anything. Even if you just listen to the podcast and never really watch the videos, you subscribing on YouTube helps us make the podcast better too. But please check out a few videos while you're there. We think they're pretty good. So right now, while you're listening, before you forget, take your phone out. It shouldn't even interrupt the show. And go to YouTube, search Cinemajaw, and hit subscribe. And thank you so much.
And we are back on Cinemajaw, hanging out with Don Shanahan from Every Movie Has Its Lesson. And I mentioned at the top, Don, we're trying to, maybe going to talk about the Snyder cut, which is Justice League Director's Cut for maybe somebody out there that does not know. It's 4 hours long, and we have not had time to watch it yet. Probably going to do it next week. You have watched it.
I have.
You have the floor for 60 seconds. What do you have to say about the Snyder cut?
Okay. What I have to say is, I'll borrow a joke from a buddy of mine. Shout out to Stefano if he's listening. This is probably the first 4-hour movie some of these nerds have ever watched in their lives. You know, so it is a hefty 4 hours. It is 6 parts with an epilogue, and it is massive. Is it epic? Like some people are trying to do the whole Lord of the Rings of superheroes movies. I don't know if I can go that far, but the errors and misconstrued things that came out of the Joss Whedon or original put together cut are very much sharpened, thickened, and added to in this one. The character development is tremendously better here, where you have time to get into these characters that didn't get their Marvel level solo movies the first time. And it's very fulfilling and rewarding to have some extra time given to these characters. And not only is it more backstory, the scenes that we have seen before, whether it's middle fights, end fights, things like that, they are cut and changed with different versions that were shot to make for completely different. Honestly, it makes for a completely different movie, because some things that are extended, some things that are enhanced, some things that are completely redone are worth their time and are sharper in different ways. For example, no spoilers. Well, no spoilers because it's a movie we've all seen. But if you were bored to tears by the end finale of Justice League, because let's go have our Sokovia Part 2 of saving the public and having purple this and purple that and a dumb Steppenwolf character that, is easily dismissed by Superman, you have a greater team effort here. You have a sharper, more violent conclusion, and everyone kind of gets involved. So if you want a little more meat and you want a little bit more substance to a superhero movie, you have one here, but it is 4 hours. So buyer beware, you got to sit through something.
So how did you digest it? Did you watch it in one shot? Did you sit down and not pause it, or how'd you tackle it?
I did not. I had to stop. Because I got it with like a day to watch it before the embargo lifted, and I wanted to be a dude who got out there on time. And I had to do it in chunks. So it does break itself up into 6 parts. And I probably stopped at least 3 times, where it wasn't just 3 times go pee. It was 3 times go be a dad, go cook dinner, come back and watch it again. Like It took all day to watch it.
Wow.
I'm okay with that because it does set itself up in the parts that it does. I think if they ever got this movie to a theater, a 4-hour movie is unmarketable. You just can't sell it. It wouldn't fit. This isn't Lawrence of Arabia where there's a grand overture of a break to go outside and have some tea and donuts and stuff like that. But there's a place or two where if you had to split this into Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows 1 and Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows 2, you could. And then there's easily some trimming you can do, but I had to do this in parts. I couldn't make it. The other question I get a lot is, do I need to watch the other cut before watching this one? You probably don't, because this movie is different enough that it stands alone. I watched the earlier cut because I wanted to appreciate the differences. And it showed the differences in such a magnified way that it just helped. Yeah. Because you can go side by side between the two. If you watch one night and then you sit down for 4 hours for this one, you would just get so much more out of it to be like, wow, that's all the things they twisted and turned and fixed.
So let's end it with this. What would you give the original Justice League as a grade, and what would you give the Snyder Cut as a grade?
Oh, see, on your 4-jaw scale, the first one was a 1. This one is a 3.
Wow.
Knocking on the door.
Improvement.
Yeah. Wow. It's a massive improvement on every level.
Nice.
Wow. Poor Joss Whedon. We
got something to look forward to. We got something to look forward to, Matt.
It's worth it. It's worth it. I don't know how you guys can make it through a 4-hour cut, though. Like, go ahead and take a pee break in there.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do it in 2 and 2. I think I'm going to watch 2 and then, maybe have some breakfast or lunch whatever time I'm watching it. And then, maybe an errand and then come back and watch the second half.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of second halves and speaking of director's cuts, this man needs no director's cut. Let's open up that fish tank and talk to some Filmy and Phil.
Wait a moment! It's fish! Isn't it?
DC! Wake up! Wake up! No, Pat, it's a giant glass bowl. Hey, get some fish folk.
Who's coming with me besides Flipper? Here.
That's a Sicilian message. It means Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Wow, thank you. I've never felt more unique and more special in my life than with that.
That was a damn good intro.
Yeah.
And I do, if I can, take this moment of validation to, before we dive into questions, bring up something that's very important to me, which is Ryan brought up Vampire Kiss, the Nicolas Cage movie. I'm sure we're all very familiar with the "you don't say Nicolas Cage" meme. It's probably the most iconic Nicolas Cage meme. That's from this movie. That alone, I think, makes it worth a spin. So you can finally see why he's doing the goofy, crazy eyes. In this instance. That being said, we have a couple of questions, and there's some cool stuff in here. Our first one: how old is Christopher Lloyd? I am 99% sure Don had said 83, and he's 82. Okay. So Don's got like a real pin in Christopher Lloyd. And then, this one's upsetting. Did Marion Ramsey pass away? She did actually pass away January 7th of this year. We love you, Marion, and we obviously wish your family very well.
Yep. You're not a dirtbag to us, Laverne.
No, not at all. Then when did the Brian De Palma Carrie come out? That iteration came out in 1976. Amazingly, only 2 years after the book was released in 74. Mm-hmm. They turned that out insanely fast. And then since then, looking into this, I also found out that there has been an iteration of Carrie for every decade since the book's release. So obviously in the 70s, we had the De Palma film. Yeah. In 88, there was the Broadway musical. The sequel film came out in the 90s and 99. The
that
aughts,
one you can skip.
You can skip a lot of these. I don't necessarily know anyone who's asking for the Carrie musical. The aughts had a TV movie in 2002, and then the most recent, the Chloe Grace Moretz one in 2013. Yeah. We're bound to have one soon.
Yeah. Okay.
We have 9 years to get another Carrie in our lives.
Who knew Carrie was like Godzilla? Like you just have to have a Carrie movie at some point.
Yeah, users. Wow.
Fascinating. It's true. And it's only one a decade too. Like I think Steven's probably like, guys, make the mist again. I don't know.
Yeah. Fix something that needs fixing.
Then our last one, what does The Long Kiss Goodnight have on Rotten Tomatoes? So the film isn't that bad, Ryan. It's not good, but it's not bad. It's at a respectable 70% fresh.
Oh, 70% fresh.
70%
wow.
fresh.
That's not respectable. That's good.
I'm
stunned. Oh, I'll check this out.
40s.
IMDb gives it a 6.8 out of 10. Metacritic does have it at 44.
Okay.
But that is the critic score exclusively.
Yeah. That's a lot of fanboy love on IMDb then right there.
Well, because that's the other. So Metacritic also, because they're weird and they have that separation, the audience score is at 84%. So I think ubiquitous, like the overwhelming majority is that it's better than it is bad.
Oh, right. I'll put this one down. I'll watch this one.
It's worth checking out. I mean, look at just for the cast, everything about it. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
It's on a streaming service. I hate to send the fishbowl right back into work, but
yeah,
I think it's on like Hulu.
It's on HBO Max. HBO Max.
There it is.
So right after you finish,
New Line movie.
Right after you finish watching, maybe Snyder that's what you do in between.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the intermission. I love it. Was that everything in there, Phil?
Yeah, that's all we got.
All right, jump back in that fish tank.
You betcha.
Matt, it brings us to a segment called
CinemaWAR.
And the war, it works like this. Me and Matt, we're fighting on a topic. Don, our guest, is playing judge and jury, and he's telling the jawheads who he thinks won the Cinema War. We were talking about David Cross. We were talking about Bob Odenkirk. Phil, what's today's Cinema War topic?
Listen, jawheads all know that none of us are strangers to a little friendly competition. Matt versus Ryan, Kong versus Godzilla, and Bob versus David. When it comes to their film careers, one of these men is Mr. Show. The other one, just a show off. In this week's Cinema War, we'll see Matt bear David's cross while Ryan makes Bob his uncle. Let this Cinema War begin.
Matt, get a load of this. Since 2013, Bob Odenkirk has appeared in 3 films nominated for the Best Picture Oscar: Nebraska, The Post, Little Women. He picks great projects to be part of, and his supporting roles are integral to them succeeding.
Yeah, since 2013, Ryan. I know they call you Mr. Show, but when it comes to Bob and David, it's clear. Dave has the better name. You pray at a cross. What the hell do you do with your Odenkirk?
Weak opening.
Kiss your mother with that mouth.
Weak opening statement, Matt. I do love me some David Cross. Big fan of Arrested Development. Very funny guy. But Bob Odenkirk has something special. He can be serious like he is in Little Women, but he can also be hilarious as he was in Long Shot, playing President Chambers opposite Charlize Theron and Seth Rogen. Loved it.
He was hilarious in Little Women too. And if we were talking film and TV, you might have a shot. Arrested Development, maybe. But we're talking strictly film here. And when you do the numbers, Cross has way more critical and audience hits. Ghost World, Kung Fu Panda, and Waiting for Guffman, just to name a few. Oh, wait a second. Odenkirk was also in Waiting for Guffman. You can see him on the DVD in the deleted scenes. I wonder what that says about who's better.
Here's the thing, though, Matt. David Cross is limited to a scene or two per movie in all those movies. He pops up for a laugh, and that's it. He has no major roles to speak of.
That's not true. And same can be said about Odenkirk.
It's true.
It's not true. Ryan, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. As you sit here today, Rye the Movie Guy, this is one of your favorite movies. Nary an Odenkirk in sight in this picture. But do you know who is in it? David Cross.
All right. Another talent of Bob Odenkirk. He directs. He directed the comedy classic Let's Go to Prison and The Brother Solomon. That's right. Comedy classic.
You can't just say stuff, you know?
Add that to small roles in The Cable Guy, and get a load of this. Bob Odenkirk's big screen debut was in Wayne's World 2. And you have to say Odenkirk is the guy to call in this Cinema War.
There you go. Leaning on the TV thing again. And David Cross was also in The Cable Guy. David is funnier. I don't need a mega mind to figure this one out, Ryan. So stop playing with your small soldier and recognize David Cross. I know you wish you could call Saul, but you can't. Strictly film, Odenkirk is on the rise, but Cross is already there waiting for him with actual roles dating back to 97.
Wow. We are button heads, as we do each and every week on Cinema War. We throw it to our guest, our jury, Don Shanahan. What did you think of this Cinema War?
This is a hard one because you do have to dig into two very supporting talents in many places. And when you have to excise the TV qualities of these men, boy, does it take a hit in terms of like, who's that guy and who's that guy? Because I think there's some newbie film fans out there who are still coming on to the scene of like who Bob Odenkirk is and who Stephen Cross is. But, and this might be the first time this has happened in my appearances on here, I'm going to side with Ryan. Bob Odenkirk has it together.
I wanted this win.
Yes. Way better credits, way better leads, way better chances. And for Steve, he's nice, he's a voice actor, glorified voice actor. Give me Ryan on this one.
Yeah. He means David
I thought
Cross.
I had him there with the Spotless Mind. All right, Ryan.
That earns me 20 seconds of jaw time to rant and rave on whatever I want. And wow, I don't know. I'm flabbergasted. I'll just go with because I'll say to Matt's point of David Cross, I am a really big fan. I love the guy.
Same.
And I love him in Arrested Development. So Jawheads, if you haven't seen Arrested Development, it's on Netflix. Do check it out. That's where I really became aware of him. I did not see Mr. Show. I remember people telling me to watch it and I had never seen it. And the next thing I knew, I was watching Arrested Development.
I mean, he's got a pretty big role in that, dude.
In what?
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yeah, but I didn't know him that well. I mean, it's not like a major role. It's a smaller role. And so it was like, it's not like it was more at that point. It was probably like a who's that guy kind of deal. Not that I knew his name. Like, oh, that's David Cross. I didn't know him at that point. No.
All right. Fair enough.
For me, it was Arrested Development.
All right. I agree, Ryan. And for the record, I do love me some Bob Odenkirk as well.
Yeah. Oh, that was a fun one. All right, you can hear the music playing. It can only mean one thing, Matt K. It is time to play some movie trivia in honor of the Snyder Cut, which Don just gave a glowing review of and which we'll be talking about a little bit more next week. We are playing Zack Snyder movie trivia. Don, since you're our guest, you get to choose if you want to go first or let Matt. There are steals, and if you get hung up on any questions, you get one Rescue Me Ryan. I do have clues.
I will let Matt go first so I can steal all his missing answers.
Question number one over to Matt K. Matt, which actress played Superman's mom in Zack Snyder's Man of Steel?
Is that Barbara Hershey?
Barbara Hershey. What the hell?
I have no idea.
What the hell?
I don't know.
Wow.
Where did that come out of? I don't even
because we
know.
were talking about Carrie. Wasn't she the mom of Carrie?
Right. She might not even be the mom in Carrie.
I don't think she is.
Don, you can steal this one. Who is the mom?
I will.
In Zack Snyder's Man of Steel.
That's Diane Lane.
That is correct. It is 1-0.
I don't like the strategy of Don's here. This isn't fair.
Go ahead.
Question 2 over to Don.
Mm-hmm.
Who played the lead, Leonidas, in the 2006 film 300?
That's Gerard Butler.
There we
Scotland's
go.
Own.
There we go. The easy one's out of the way. It is 2-0. Don. Question 3 over to Matt K.
She was the mom in Black Swan. That's what I was thinking of. All right, go on.
Yeah, that's where she's at.
Yes.
It's such a comparable movie to Man of Steel.
I was going to say.
Carrie.
I mean,
she
all the
could
capes
pay.
and makeup and flying. Yeah, totally.
She's the right age for a Martha Kent, I believe. So why not?
She is. Yeah.
Baffling. Absolutely baffling. I apologize, Jawheads. Question 3 over to Matt K. Matt, Dawn of the Dead marked Zack's directorial debut. What year was that film released?
I believe that was Get Down with the Sickness by Disturbed was the.
That's your reference, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Disturbed was an aughts band. And I'm thinking that was, oh man, was it 2000 or 2001? I'm just going to say the year 2000.
That, my friends, is incorrect.
Damn it.
It is.
It is incorrect. Steal for Don. I don't know. This is a little bit tougher one. Don, you got a guess on the year?
I do. I think it's 2004.
2004 is correct. Wow, he is on fire.
Get my ass kicked here.
It is 3-0. Don, and question 4 is over to him. I like where this is going. Don, name the only animated film directed by Zack Snyder. It came out in 2010 and had to do with a type of bird.
Right. It's the Guardians of Ga'Hoole, the owls and the owl movie, Guardians of Ga'Hoole. The Legend of the Guardians of Ga'Hoole.
There we go. We'll give them. There you go. I needed the legends in there.
Gotcha.
Never even heard of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Elijah Wood doing a voice in that one. Yeah.
Was David Cross in there doing a voice?
4-0, Don. It's a slaughter at this point. Matt, question 5 is over to you.
All right.
Oscar Isaac has appeared in one Zack Snyder film. Jenna Malone happens to be in it as well. Name the film.
Listen, I got to get on the board here.
Get on the board.
I can't think of anything that Oscar Isaac and Zack Snyder have done together off the top of my head. So rescue me, Ryan.
Whoa. Rescue me, Ryan. This clue will punch you right in the gut.
Sucker punch.
Wow.
Hey, there you go.
He is on the board.
On the board.
Well done, Matt. 4-1. Barbara Hershey. All right.
I had no idea that Zack Snyder was in Sucker Punch. It wasn't that weird of a guess. Come on, get over it.
No.
Zack Snyder directed.
No, I said Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac.
Maybe I misspoke. Oscar Isaac. I had no idea he was in Sucker Punch.
4-1, Don. Question 6 is over to him. Holly Hunter appears in one Zack Snyder film. Name it.
Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice.
He is on fire. He is on fire. I thought that would fool some people, but not Don.
No, not when I with my jar of peach juice over here, right? Peach tea. Yeah.
5-1, Don. The game's over at this point. Question 7 over to Matt. The Snyder Cut is 4 hours long. Prior to it, which Zack Snyder film has the longest runtime?
I'm guessing you're not going to do Sucker Punch as the answer to 2 questions. That probably would have been my guess. I mean, I can't even really come up with. I spent all my mental energy coming up with all the names from Harry Potter. That's it. I'm spent. Shit. Man of Steel. Did he direct that one?
He did, but that is incorrect. Don, you got a chance for a steal here.
All right. If we don't count the director's cut of Batman v Superman, it's got to be Watchmen.
That is correct. Absolutely.
Damn it. And I was just talking about that movie last week.
I was on process of elimination because we've gotten down to the point where we're running out of Zack Snyder movies.
162 minutes long for The Watchmen, so almost 3 hours long for
great movie.
There you go.
It is good, man.
6-1 at this point. Last question of the game, Don, is over to you. Speaking of The Watchmen, which actor played Night Owl in the 2009 Zack Snyder directed film?
That is Patrick. I'm going to get his last name wrong.
Oh, I so hope I can steal this one.
Ooh, I'm giving away too much by already saying his first name. Patrick Wilson.
That is correct.
Damn it. Okay. I was going to say Barbara Hershey.
Yeah, right?
Don wins this one in a slaughter rule, 7-1. Well done, Don. You know your Zack Snyder.
By luck and by crook.
If it came down to a jawbreaker question,
hit me.
This question would have been over to Don. Better director, Joss Whedon or Zack Snyder?
Well, I mean, all you have is, all right, Joss Whedon's got, if we don't include TV, you've got the Avengers movies and you've got like Much Ado About Nothing and a couple of things. Zack Snyder is a better director than Joss Whedon.
That is correct. That was the way to go. The real
Firefly movie, Serendipity, was that what it was called? No, what was it called?
Serenity.
Yeah.
The real jawbreaker was this, age of Patrick Wilson, closest to. Matt, do you got a guess?
I got a guess.
All right. So let me see if I can at least get this one right. I would say he was probably in his late 30s doing the Watchmen movie.
Mm-hmm.
And
here comes, you're guessing Matt here again. 2000. Carry the 2, right?
No, I'm going to say he's approaching 50. He's past the halfway into his 40s. Let's say 47.
Lock him in at 47. Don, you got a guess?
I think he's 51.
Believe it or not, he's 47. Matt got that one right on the nose.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
See, I don't know why I'm good at the age guessing game. I usually win that one.
But Don did win this one. Can I get a virtual handshake?
Fist
there you
bump
go.
up.
Fist bump. There you go. Beautiful. Oh, man. Fun time hanging out with Don Shanahan, doing a good Cinemajaw here. Brings us to the end of a great podcast. And first and foremost, we got to thank our guest, Don. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Thank you very much, Phil. Thank you very much, Matt. It's been great to be here.
Can't wait to have you on again when we can be in the same room and have some beers. It'll be great.
It'll be nice to see a screening and have a beer, you know?
That's right.
We also got to thank our engineer, our editor, Filmy and Phil.
Oh, thank you guys so much. I'm still glowing from being told I need no director's cut, that I'm flawless as is.
Matt, we also got to thank the sponsors.
Yes. Thanks to Overcast and to the Chicago Podcast Co-op, who help us get great sponsors like them.
If you want to support Cinemajaw, and I know you do, just leave us a review wherever you're listening to this podcast.
While you're at it, please click subscribe. One extra click from you helps us out a whole hell of a lot.
Until next week, I'm Ryan the Movie Guy.
I'm Matt Kay.
And keep on jawing about the movies.